Think about cars and motorsport for a few seconds. What do you picture in your mind? Sure, it might be the purr of an engine, the curves of a Ferrari, or the smell of burning petrol. But what most likely runs through your mind more than anything else is a strong sense of masculinity and testosterone. It's not unusual to interpret the world of motorsports in this way, as these are the stereotypes that are commonly ingrained in us. But times are changing. We are living in a new age of sport, and there are women of all ages, backgrounds, and skill levels seeking to change that rhetoric, and they are succeeding. It's a new dawn for motorsport, and it's time for women to take the wheel. If you're a young racing enthusiast with dreams of taking to the track, you may be asking yourself difficult questions like, how do I become a racing driver? Where do I start? What does it feel like to be behind the wheel? This documentary will look to answer some of those questions and will address some of the obstacles faced along the way. Let's take a journey of discovery across various motorsport disciplines as we find out what it takes for a young woman to become a race car driver. You may not realize it yet, but you don't have to become a Formula One driver to have an amazing racing career and enjoy something you really love.
Well, most girls don't really like cars racing, and I just like it because it's fast, I love the smoke and the fuel, it's just a really nice environment in the zip tank. I've got loads of friends here. Just the overtaking and the speed is my favourite part of it.
Meet Bella, an aspiring race car driver who, at only 11 years of age, is already making a name for herself in the world of go-karting.
Yep.
I'm reading it at the moment. It's about Lewis Hamilton and his journey to F1. It's really good. I really like it. This one's about Danica, and I haven't started reading it just yet, but I might read it after I've read Lewis Hamilton's book.
Bella is one of many Honda Cadet class girls racing alongside boys in round 2 of the Ultimate Karting Championship at Larkhall in Scotland. This type of karting is widely known as a proving ground for 8 to 13-year-olds to test their racing abilities and hone the skills needed to move on to the next levels of racing, such as junior and senior road tax.
So at this level of karting that we're at today with the Ultimate Karting Championship, we're essentially one league below the British Championship, and it's a blend of first-time drivers starting to get to know the sport for the first time, independents and privateers who have perhaps a slightly slower budget than some of the pros, and the pros. You know, they're also here learning their craft and getting extra mileage in, ready for the British and European Championships. It's a perfect environment because you get a little bit of everything with this particular category. You get a little bit of learning about your discipline, learning about how to handle yourself in a crowd, and you are making mistakes and finding it tough as you go. So it's all about developing racecraft. There's no time qualifying here, so it's random grids. So drivers all take turns at starting from the front, the middle, and the back of races. So you learn about how to control the pack from the front, you learn about how to fight your way through to the front, and you learn about how to mix it in the middle. It's the perfect training school.
The Ultimate Karting Championship is exactly what it says. It's a karting championship. But the great thing about it is it attracts a whole cross-section of drivers. We've got drivers racing this weekend that have been European champions, have been British champions, and they line up alongside youngsters who are taking their first steps on the first few rungs of the ladder within motorsport. It's a really inclusive way to get involved in motorsport. And as we know, anyone who's been involved or around karting for many years, or indeed just sort of like learning about it, karting is the purest form of motorsport.
The reason kart racing is probably a little bit more intense than other forms of motor racing is that everything happens so fast you wouldn't believe it. I mean, the circuits are only anywhere between 1,100 and 1,400 metres in length. Power to weight ratio, a lot of the karts you're talking Formula 3 level. All of the karts are very similarly matched, and a lot of the drivers are very similarly matched. And this is a very tough environment in motor racing. For the youngsters out here, they are having to make mistakes and learn the sport on the job. It's not like in football where you see the under 17 teams like Manchester United and Juventus play behind closed doors. We never see that match televised. Here, they are under the microscope right from the start. You know, they're under scrutiny and they are live streamed and broadcast to the world, sometimes from as young as 6 years old. So, you know, they are under massive pressure from the minute they get into a racing machine. And if they make a mistake, everybody sees it. So it is a very judgmental, very brutal world, and they have to soak up the pressure of it on the job whilst at the limit. So it's very difficult, it's very tough.
Yeah, so this weekend we're up here racing at Larkpool, the West of Scotland Kart Club. It's a fantastic track, 12 turns and over 1,100 metres of tarmac to race on. The vibe has been great. The weather has been typically Scottish, so it's been a bit damp, but what it does do when the weather becomes damp like this is it really tests their ability in the wet. We've seen the wet tyres come out. Those drivers that have been going on slicks in the earlier parts of the weekends have been struggling a bit, so we're really testing the wet weather driving skills of the drivers this weekend. But as always, the vibe has been, you know, it's been inclusive, it's been exciting, it's motorsport, but it is also fun. There's a lot of happy faces around the paddock and a lot of determined ones as well.
Bella's dad, Will Fairclough, prepares for the day ahead.
Well, it's our first time here, and track conditions have been quite tricky. It's been dry and wet, it's been somewhere in between. So there's a number of challenges there that you've got to deal with, driver and mechanic, so setup and also driver. So when you've got two moving parts, two variables, it's quite difficult to get, you know, where you need to be. Experience here is a big benefit.
It went really well. I got to fourth and then I accidentally made a mistake and then got back to fifth. It's much slippier, so I need to be more careful, but then again I needed to be more on it, so just in case I spin. We had to put wets on again, change the setup, make it more grippier and change the sprocket.
As you can tell, Bella has a wealth of knowledge about racing, and she attributes this to the support of her parents who have been by her side since she started.
Definitely my dad, because he's been coaching me on the lines. My mum just like making lunch and stuff, always being there making food and stuff, definitely getting me ready as well, but the Zip team has helped me a lot.
Well, I mean, the first time Bella got in a car, I was terrified, to be honest. But the more and more you have to trust that they're almost sort of mini professionals. You know, they take this very seriously. They do a lot of practice, and they've been going around many circuits, numerous laps, hundreds of laps, if not thousands of laps. So you've got to trust that they actually know what they're doing.
She's just got such a nice heart, and she really knows who she is as well. And for someone at such a young age, she's well and truly connected with herself and the universe around her. We tried horse riding, violin, piano, ballet, everything under the sun, and this was the thing that clicked for them.
Kart racing can be a costly endeavour, with the kart costing between £3,000 and £5,000, plus a few £100 in race fees for each event. But with the help of companies like Zipkart, who provide an annual membership, youngsters who wish to get into go-karting can get all the tools they need for a much smaller fee.
They've definitely provided me with a quick kart, the engines, the strategists, teammates and coaching overall.
Well, the kart is absolutely brilliant. Like, they've made such a brilliant kart, and people around me, especially my teammates, helping me along. It's a great team overall.
Well, next year we're going to go into junior road tax, which is the next level up. Then after that, my dad said we probably will be like 14, 15, going into cars or single-seaters, just getting ready for the future.
The overall feeling amongst those involved in the sport is that a young girl like Bella is welcomed, and it is one of the few sports where young women can make a name for themselves at such an early age.
I think I see it as a sport like horse racing, you know, at the Grand National and things like that, or show jumping, cross country, where men and women compete against each other all the time, and it's really accepted. Horse racing, probably not so much, that's up and coming. But because it's the athlete and either a car or a horse, it's not just on the athletes, so they can easily compete against each other. I think it's never been can they or can't they, it's just, well, they are competing.
So from Bella's perspective, it's just 4 wheels, steering wheel, engine, let's go racing. But there are, at this age, as an adult looking down and looking at the demographics and the different types of people, which is children, boys, that she races against, it's quite evident to see that some boys don't like it, there's that boy-girl rivalry, and it's quite obvious at that age.
So we always check in with them and say, do you still want to do this? It's a big commitment. It's a big financial commitment, it's a big time commitment. It's emotionally quite a hard thing to do at such a young age because, unlike other sports, it's very hard to practice this without the whole world watching. Your practice is generally at a race. So we always check in with them, and they've never said they don't want to do it anymore.
As they continue to duel away for position, 4th place Blair Smith trying to work his magic. As far as I'm aware, karting and motor racing in general, but particularly karting, is the only form of sport in the world where I feel that girls and boys can run on an even playing field no matter what the circumstances. And that's a very rare position for the sport of karting to be in. The machinery doesn't care what gender you are. The equipment, the tyres, the engine, the steering wheel, the seat, they do not care who's in the car. They just want to go fast, the same way the driver does. And at this level, because there is such an even level of ability in an athlete of that age, whether you are male or female, it's probably the most even form of sports competition between two genders you could possibly find on the planet.
The great thing about karting, like all forms of motorsport, is that it simply doesn't matter whether you're a boy or a girl. They race side by side. It's all about how good you are in the car. Karting is very physical. Sometimes girls develop faster than boys, so they have a physicality advantage as they sort of, go through puberty and what have you. But ultimately, it comes down to being a fast driver. The clock doesn't lie. So the fastest car around the track wins, basically. So if you happen to be a girl at the wheel of that car, all power to you. If you happen to be a lad at the wheel of that car, well done, sir. It really doesn't matter.
As Ryan White is already seeking an opportunity into the first corner and into the final lap. I think he may have taken the lead there as he made his way through. Alfie Branscombe still trying to hold on. It's quite common for drivers to come out of this category and move on to incredible forms of racing. Just in the first 4 years of competition, we've had drivers come out of the Ultimate Karting Championship and move on to the worlds of the touring car paddock, British GT, even European GT4. It is a real proving ground, and I have a feeling that we're going to look back sort of 5-10 years from now at the UKC grid, and there could be a handful of drivers that have even made it to the Grand Prix paddock.
So when youngsters move out of karting and they get too old for it, or they've got designs on getting into cars and continuing their motorsport journey, there's a few options open to them. There's lots of different championships. You've got Fiestas, you've got Ginettas, you've got Minis, entry-level motorsport classes that race on the biggest tracks on the highest stages, as supporting classes for other bigger motorsport championships. But the fact of the matter remains is that, unfortunately, those bigger cars and those bigger championships require money. So if you haven't got the money and you haven't got the sponsorship, you're going to find it tricky to move onwards and upwards. But that's not to say that you should stop doing what you enjoy, because there's no reason why you can't stay in karting. If you can keep affording to do karting, stay doing this, because it's great fun.
Enter the world of touring car racing and meet those that aim to take it on. They call themselves Formula Women. It's a program that supports ladies who are interested in racing to provide them with opportunities, training, and resources to learn how to drive and compete in races. The best of the best are then selected to compete in the team's GT Cup team races around the country.
Hi, I'm Sarolita Wendell.
Hi, I'm Sophie.
My name is Kirsty Mansell.
My name is Rebecca Johnson.
Touring car racing is thrilling. Modified versions of production cars race on closed circuits at speeds of over 130 miles per hour.
Well, many years ago I ran a racing school at Cadwell Park in Lincolnshire, and a lot of people would say, how come there's no women here? And then the odd female that came along would say, how come there's no women in motorsport? And to be honest, in those days I didn't know the answer. I just said, well, it's just one of those male-dominated sports that's been male-dominated for 100 years. Well, in 2003 we had 10,000 women, and now we've got we're up to over 5,000 women. So it's just growing and growing globally.
For some ladies, it was their first time behind the wheel of a supercharged BMW M3, and their first time on the Snetterton track. Needless to say, nerves were running high.
This is my first ever time getting on the track with Formula 1.
It was my first day today, so yeah, my first ever track day.
Oh, I'm simultaneously elated and petrified. I was fine. I was a long drive here and I was fine for the majority of the 3 hours. However, 2.5 hours in, I was just determined I was going to die. I was like, this is it, this is the end, what am I doing? I'm insane. You know, I had a thing with sailing, why am I stepping out and going into motorsport instead when I could just kind of stick with what I know and stick with like the roots that I have, the in that I have with my parents and people knowing family, you know, so I lost my mind a little bit, kind of close by, but I think I'm alright. The guys here are great, they've kind of kept me calm.
I was really nervous on the way here, and I was just worried about, you know, maybe not getting along with everyone, but everyone's so lovely, and they were like, look, you've got nothing to prove today, it's just go out there, see what it's like, have a feel for it, and you know what, it was like, it's the best like experience I've ever done. So
I got involved simply through seeing other people, other women online joining Formula Women and coming out on track and racing and going through the competition. And I just wanted a piece of that, really. Yeah.
Well, once you get down to it, and once some of these girls have done quite a bit of on track, having experience, having some coaching with our instructors, the basic plan is that we take the girls out for sighting laps, we take them around, we show them what the lines they should be taking, we do a swap over, they then drive us, or drive the instructor, and basically, to be honest, a good instructor can tell within 3 or 4 corners whether somebody's got some natural ability or not.
For more experienced racers, the day was an opportunity to showcase their skills.
I've been selected for the Nations Cup next year in Abu Dhabi. Yeah, very excited. Can't wait.
Really
yeah.
Cool. What does that involve? What sort of racing is that?
So I believe it will be the McLaren. Don't know what sort of car yet. I'll find out the details soon, but
yeah.
really excited to get out there.
And I'm UK National Miss Classic 2023 Birmingham. And I have a competition that's coming July 15th, and after that, I'm joining the Formula Woman.
So why choose motorsport and not something else?
I just like meeting people and like, you know, getting around on track and like going faster than you usually get to do on the road. I think that's like the main thing. It's like you get all that energy out of you and yeah, just have a bit of fun, yeah.
I guess it's my dream come true, because since I was 4 years old, I have my own little car. And I'm dreaming to become a field racer. And this is the right time for me. I'm waiting for this years and years, and I got it now.
Oh, I love racing. Like, racing is my life. Growing up, my dad always used to race, so watching him always being around tracks, so it was always me wanting to be on the track sort of thing, but I've never really had the opportunity to do so until Formula Women came up, and I saw the opportunity where women across the globe just sort of come together and help each other and train and all of that stuff, and then the opportunity came and I just sort of went and took it. So my dad is deaf, and he's raced in all kinds of things, so go-karting, minis, all kinds of cars. And yeah, so growing up, being at the track, sort of being by his side, interpreting for him, learning at the same time. So yeah, it's a bittersweet story, but yeah.
Even though this is a great opportunity to try out their hand at racing with the view to take centre stage at some point in their career, do these racers feel that enough has been done to help women enter the world of motorsport in the broader spectrum?
I don't feel there's enough that's been done for women in motorsport. It's more man-based at the moment, and it's very difficult for women to get into motorsport, but things like Formula Women really do push and encourage women, and it really does help, and opportunities come, and it's a really good thing to get into. If you have the interest and the passion for racing, anybody can do it.
When diversity is talked about within sports such as motorsport and sailing and various other things, the conversation is always about how it's impossible to get in, and kind of there's an attitude that suggests that maybe no one wants you there either, and that's just simply not true. There are people like Graham, like guys who have been on this scene for a while, who do want us here and who do see the value within the sport, no matter what job title that may include, whether that's driver or engineer or statistician or whatever. It's you're definitely wanted here. So it's kind of keep an eye out for the opportunities because they do exist.
Mini racing. It's a combination of nostalgia, challenging handling, and intense competition. Their compact size and agile nature create an exhilarating driving dynamic, requiring skill and precision. These minis allow drivers to relive the excitement of a bygone era while pushing their driving abilities to the limit.
Last year was probably my best year ever. So I feel like, even though I'm quite old, this is my about 16th year of racing. I'm still going faster, I'm still winning trophies, I'm still as good as or better than I've ever been. So I think it's something that keeps evolving.
Meet Jo Polly. She has enjoyed one of the most successful long-term racing careers and is in a very small minority of women who have continued racing into their 40s. She shows no signs of slowing down.
Historic racing is obviously in minis it's the pre-66 Mark 1, so the very first original Mini Coopers. So they're like 1964 I think mine's from. So like the Italian job ones. So yes, they're very different to the Mini 7.
Modern mini racing provides an altogether different racing experience to the historic minis.
They're quite highly tuned, the engines. The historics have a 1293 engine, which you can do quite a lot to, so they're really, really fast. And the thing with the minis is, although they don't have a lot of power down the straight, they're really, really fast around the corners. So we raced them with the pre-66 minis against Cortinas and Mustangs. And although obviously they were like straight past us down the straight, when you come to the corner, the minis corner way faster. So you can be in a constant battle. The lap times actually aren't that different. And when it rains, we beat them. They are very loud inside, very hot, very rattly. But they're light, so they kind of move with you. People say that it's very similar to driving a go-kart, in that like, literally you can throw them and you can feel everything flexes and you're kind of at one with the car, which is quite different to the big modern saloon cars on slicks where they're very rigid and you don't have a lot of feel. But the minis are like more kind of organic. So I was 15 when I started. My dad raced, so I was born into a motorsport family as such. So growing up, at weekends my friends would have like brownies and go horse riding, and I couldn't do it because I was being dragged to a race circuit. So the early years I didn't like it. I was like, I want to do this, and I couldn't do all the things that my friends were doing because I was going racing, but I grew to love it.
Much later in her career, Jo decided to try her hand at grid girling.
So it was quite a long time afterwards. So obviously I raced mini stocks when I was 15, 16, 17. When I didn't start grid girling till I was like 39 or something, so it was a big difference. Yeah, I'm really old, so it's like lots of time had passed in between. So I came by the grid girling because I really liked the British Touring Car Championship. Yeah. I just loved it. I was a massive fan of it. I went and watched it on TV all the time, and I was just like found it really exciting. I just wanted an in. And I thought, well, maybe I could do some promo. I've done a bit of promo work in the past, so I thought maybe I could be a grid girl. I was willing to just like make the tea or anything, so I had a few ins where I knew people in the garages, some of the mechanics, and I'd be like, oh, do you need anyone to come and help? And I'd make tea, I'd do anything, and eventually I fell into a grid girl job. being a grid girl, I was racing again. I'd come back to Mini Challenge, so that helped fund, obviously, because you get paid for a grid girl, so it was an extra bit of income that I'd like do my grid work and then be able to buy like half a tyre for my race car or something. So it kind of all helped each other, but it kind of built my profile being on the BTCC package. And as motorsport's such a small world, everybody knows everybody, so it kind of built up my profile when people were like, oh, she races, oh, what does she race? And it kind of just, it helped build my racing profile by being a grid girl. I think it's moved on, even now in the past couple of years where it's been a big issue, it's moved on in the outfits. There's very little nasty, like tacky, revealing lycra. Everybody loves doing it. I don't know why they feel like it's degrading to women or the whole issues they have with it, because there's literally girls queuing up to do it, and it's such fun, and you're in such a privileged position. You're out on the circuit with the cars, you're one of the team. I loved it, and all the grid girls love it. There are very, very few women my age that race. There's probably the majority of women in motorsport are young, and then when you get to like mid-20s, they get married to have children, there's very, very few come back. So this is the longest like stint of racing I've done through my whole career, so I think I'm on about year 10 or 11 in a row. But I think motorsport's one of those things you need to keep racing. The more you race, the better you get. So I don't want to have like I've done in the past, have a few years out and then come back to it, and then you have to kind of work your way back up to finding your feet again. And so I don't think I'm ready to hang up the helmet just yet.
Times have changed since Jo Polly first put on her racing gloves all those years ago. She believes it is now much easier for young women to get into racing, and they should take advancements in technology as an opportunity to further their careers.
There's a lot more information available widely. There was no internet when I raced. I didn't know anything about any other like world of motorsport other than my little oval racing bubble that I was in. So yeah, there's way more information out there. Way more awareness of all the different types of motorsport, and obviously things like Drive to Survive have just sent it huge.
Jo expressed how important it is for young women to join racing clubs and tournaments such as the British Touring Car Championship when beginning a racing career. This is so that they can form important connections with others.
It definitely helped me meet a lot more people. It made me more high profile as a driver, and I just got great experience from it. I loved it, absolutely loved BTCC. It was brilliant. I'm so glad that and that was just purely through me. The way I got into it was literally just, you have to keep knocking on doors. I kept driving all over to the rounds, and I'd walk up and down the back of the pit lane, and I'd be like, oh, there's so and so I know, and I'd grab them and like muscle my way into a garage. Literally just, that's the way to do it. You've just got to be persistent and just keep finding little ins.
So, if you're a young girl who aspires to become the next racing superstar, or maybe you have always dreamed of getting into motorsport but never had the chance, or any person who has been inspired by the stories of these racers, why not listen to the advice they have to share?
The best advice is go and watch. Go grassroots level, find out where your nearest circuit is. Google circuits, race circuits near me, and you'll be able to find a website and a fixture list, and just go and watch and go and speak to people. Because like there's marshalling you can do. There's always teams that will, if you start speaking to someone, like say, can I come and help you? Like, I'll get myself there, I'll just come and run around for you. Like, that's what I always say to people.
You know, for people wanting to get into it, I think the best thing to do is just go and do it. You know, join some like Facebook groups, you know, see what there is like on Instagram. Like, there's loads of car people who like do things like this. And obviously I found Formula Women, and I followed them for ages, and I was always like, oh, should I do it, should I not do it? And then they came up with like a track day, so I was like, I'll just do it. And now I've done it, I feel really happy, and like it's nice to meet new people as well and just make some new friends.
Anybody can get into it. As long as you have that passion, the determination, go for it. Anyone can do it.
If you're not confident in what you're doing, you're not going to do very well. Whereas if you're like confident, you're proud, and you're happy, it's always good to be like that when you go into a race.